Hey everybody, it's Strict9 with Strict9 GP, and welcome back to another episode of my Out of the Park 22 playthrough with the San Francisco Giants. So it's another year, another bunch of losses. It's getting to the point where I'm almost embarrassed to keep this playthrough going, but I'm like, maybe you can learn from my mistakes. Maybe there's going to be some turnaround coming. This has definitely been a challenge for me. I did not realize how tough this Giants team could be. I think maybe taking it as a GM, and modeling a team around the ballpark factors and just putting good coaches in there, you might have better success with it. For me, I just cannot figure out the lineup I need to generate offense, and that's the story that it's been throughout this playthrough. We had one season last year where we got to 500, but we've had 3 seasons barely getting above 70 wins, and we're on that pace again this year. I'm at a loss, and it's a combination of factors. It's not just the ballpark factor, and not to make excuses, but one of the great things about Out of the Park is there's so much randomness, I think, involved with it. I think one of my commenters even posted how tough this game could be, but it's been really tough in terms of the free agent market. The players that are being thrown out for trades. I guess the AI is really hanging on to the players who are good, and it's just hard for me to build a winner. And the looking at some of the prospects and things like that, we have just about everything that could go wrong has gone wrong for me in this one. And I don't know. I'm hoping we can turn it around. But this episode, we're at the All-Star break. I'm probably going to be looking at where we are right now as a team and seeing if there's any kind of trades we can make, or if it's just time to look towards next year. We still have a lot of good money available, but I'm not going to throw good money out there for bad players. We'll look at a few things just to see what kind of options we have. But the first thing we'll take a look at is just how we've been playing. You look at the standings, we are 15 games below 500, and believe it or not, that's better than it has been. We just got through a pretty good series against Miami, who, Miami's having a mediocre year here, but what really did us in, as it happens so often, is one bad month. It just killed us. In May, we were 6-21. The offense, has been slumping all year. We're next to last in every category in the National League. The only thing is strikeouts, which that's not really helping us too much. But looking at the records, April competitive, 12-13. May, 6-21. Then back to 13-13. We're 6-5 in July. That 1 month has probably done us in, because we were 15 games below 500 in May. That's where we are right now. You take out that month, and we're a 500 team going into the All-Star break. Maybe there's a piece or two that we can put together to get us over the hump, but it's not looking too good. Looking at the numbers on the pitching side and defense, with a really pretty mediocre staff, we are top 5 in several categories. We are definitely top half in pitching and top half in defense. So it's just, it all comes down to how are we going to score runs. So with that in mind, one of the things I did, and so far, it may seem like a crazy trade. I know some people may question it, but I've kind of moved away from the home runs, just kind of given up on that. I got to thinking about where we were in that lineup. I've been against right-handed pitching. I've been putting Miyazaki at the top of the lineup. Against lefties, just throwing anybody I could out there, and just not having a whole lot of success overall. Miyazaki struggling now after a pretty hot start. He's like a 250 hitter overall. Against right-handed pitching, he's even worse. So I thought, instead of going for somebody middle of the lineup, maybe it's a time to look at somebody at the top of the lineup, a good leadoff hitter. And I wound up picking up Nico Horner from Chicago, who is, I think hits a lot of those things. He can play multiple positions with Simeon kind of hitting better right now. I've kept Simeon at second and moved Horner over to third, where he's got pretty decent ratings. But he's got a decent contract. It's going to get up to just under $15 million in a few seasons. But if he can perform, I think he's worth that. He has good speed, decent eye, and discipline. But how I got him was probably the controversial part. I traded away Rafael Devers, and it's something that you just playing this game as much as I have, you get a feel for it. Sometimes I think the sim engine, or however you want to term it, is not in your favor, and things just happen that you can't really get a handle on. Not sure what's going on with Devers, but he is just not performing at all. At one point, my scout had this guy at a 3-star. I don't know where he picked up the extra half-star rating. He's still rated to be above average overall and in his individual numbers. But take a look at his stats. He was hitting just .214 for us, an ops of .642, no slugging. He went over to Chicago, and it really hasn't done much better. He's hitting .213. His slugging percentage has picked up, but that's probably getting away from San Francisco. I really think whatever's going on with this guy, I think he's on the decline. It'll probably be interesting to come back and see maybe in a year or two if he's still with Chicago or wherever he is, how he's playing. But, no matter how I shuffled the lineup there in May and June, he just couldn't do it. And I thought, maybe I need something else. Maybe instead of just looking for, a high power, high on-base guy, maybe I need to look more the way I'm comfortable playing, which is high contact, and see what that gets us. And, I'm happy with the move to get Horner. I think he will be valuable whether he is a straight-up replacement for Devers or not. But I will say this, since we picked him up, he's been with us 22 games. Let me take a look at the stats here on this line. I mean, picked the wrong guy. That's Hernandez. So he's hitting .293, ops plus just about average, a little bit above average, but 22 games he's been with us. I think since the trade, we've played 23 games and we've won 14 of them. So, for what it's worth, maybe we got a little bit of a boost in offense picking him up. But it does leave us now with no true third baseman. Am I going to pick that up in trade, or is that something I'm going to have to look at in the offseason? Not sure yet. But at this point, nothing really I do is going to hurt us much worse than where we're at. And so far, knock on wood, I think it benefited us. Now, if we look at, while we're on it, the lineups, another thing you're going to notice, Alec Bohm really started tanking. After, I think, a pretty decent start to April, he struggled through May, as did everybody. And now, he's picked it back up a little bit in July or in June, and then still early in July, but I still think he can turn it around. I do like his numbers overall, and I think he fits in into the park. He's leading us in home runs for what it's worth. He's probably on pace for around 20 or so. Looking at the rest of the lineup, it's just not much positives at all. I gave up on the left fielder that I was going with early in the season. I think I had to call him down to I can't remember what I actually did there. I think what it was is I was going with Slater a little bit, maybe, but I had to call up Blankenhorn again. No, I'm sorry. It's because Profar got injured. Can't forget that. But he's another guy who's been struggling really heavily. He's unfortunately, it's a player option in his last year. I don't think he's really going to have much of a make much of a contribution to this lineup unless he gets healthy and turns it around. But that was the deal. He went down. I really wasn't going to try Bishop anymore, so I brought up the old guy, Blankenhorn. He's been pretty good since he got called up. He was looking good in AAA. Maybe he's the guy who I should have gone with all along. I just didn't think he fit what I was trying to get in the outfield, which was some right-handed, high eye and disciplined batters. But again, it's one of those cases where when everybody's slumping and looking bad, can't really do much to make it worse. But looking at the pitching side, I'm pretty happy with things there. And I really think the two big positives are Abram and Westbrooks, those two young guys. Abram especially. And unfortunately, the guy can't get a win to save his life. He's just at 3 wins so far. But he made the All-Star team again this year. He's already almost a 5-star pitcher. Great movement, so he's not going to give up a lot of home runs. 5 above-average pitches with 4 of them really getting close to maxed out, just 25. I think this guy can really anchor this rotation going forward, and I love the fact that he was a 21st round pick. He was in the first draft I had when I took over this team. And then Westbrooks, who was a first-round pick, he's developing nicely. The numbers may not be there yet, but he's a 3-star with a potential 4.5. I mean, those two guys I can build, I think, a good starting rotation around. The bullpen in places is looking good. Lucchesi, who made the All-Star team as well this year, he's looked good. Lang, at times he's struggled, but I think he's still the best option at closer we have. He's up to 15 saves on the year. So the pitching, you can't really, and Elledge again having another good year, you can't really fault anybody really on the pitching side. It's all about that offense. So what can I do? And that's the big question. One of the things I can't do really is trade away some good prospect in the minors because I don't really have too many. If I looked at the where we stand on our minor league system, we're pretty close to the bottom. We're in the bottom third with Westbrooks, who's now starting. He's the only guy who shows up in the top 100 list. So I don't have a whole lot of prospects I could trade away to get, again, what I would like to get, which is a home run hitting outfielder, maybe third baseman, who does that once he comes to this team. If I look at who's available on the trading block, which gives you a pretty good idea of what you're going to get if you start shopping players. But looking at the trading block on the batter side, it doesn't fit. I mean, I don't see anything that really fits this team. This guy Morita, I've thought about him. He's currently with the Marlins. He could play left field, so that would get he would replace Blankenhorn right now in left. But I got to question whether he would really have any success in San Francisco. If I look at his game logs, where can I look at this? Yeah, batting versus team against San Francisco, really kind of anemic. I mean, he's hitting 185 in 167 in the 7 games he's played against us. That doesn't lead me to think he's going to be that great. I mean, his road numbers are terrible in just the 3 games. So I really don't feel like his numbers would translate to anything great here. And then Azuna looks good, but I'm kind of staying away from him for various reasons. But there's just nobody here that shows up in the trading block that I think is going to help us. You get down once you get past those few options there at the top, then you're back to like 2.5-star type caliber players, just average players that we already have on our roster as it is. I mean, Phillip Evans, he's a third baseman with some decent power, I guess. He's about average, but man, he's got a big contract, and I don't foresee him doing much for us. Still going down the list, there's Tommy Listella, who another guy I probably should have kept based on the numbers he's had since he left us, but he's not going to fit what we need to do. He can play first and, mediocre defense at second and third. Trey Mancini, he had a great year for us in 2022. He's still fragile, though, and I think his ratings are starting to drop. I don't really think he's a safe bet either. So, at this point, it just feels like we're kind of stuck until this offseason, and just hope that we get some luck on our side, and we get some guys who start performing a little bit better. If I go further and look at, let's take a look at upcoming free agents, doesn't get too great there either, and that's what I was talking about. I mean, every playthrough is different, and sometimes it's just it's almost, I guess, luck of the draw. But you have these kind of seasons like year after year where no good players are really available, and I hate to think that we're gonna have to ride this out, but you guys may have some suggestions, but I'm not really sure. I mean, Kyle Tucker, even though he's a left-handed bat, and I've really had a hard time getting good performance out of lefties, he might be somebody to think about next year. But you take a look at his Houston numbers, man, he is not performing there over the last couple years. I mean, power is decent, but it's definitely not where it was 21 through 23. Real Muto is valuable defensively. He's another guy who's starting to really struggle offensively. And with catching, I think he hasn't started performing yet, but I really think with catching, we're okay there with Bailey. As long as he stays healthy, I think he's at 26 going to grow a little bit as far as that goes. But what a mess. What a mess. I mean, and you see there too, you'll notice, I mean, we got 4 guys who were slumping pretty heavily as well to add insult to injury. It's going to be just tough to turn this team around right now. So what I will do here, though, I'm going to go through the All-Star break here because I think I do want to see if that changes anything when it comes to the trading block as we get closer to the deadline. In terms of the All-Star game, Yelich, the MVP, so National League lost 4-3. In terms of the guys that we had here playing, we didn't have anybody offensively, which stands to reason. But we did get Abram, Lucchesi. They got in the game, so that's good for them and performed pretty well. So we're going to be on the road against Cincinnati to start out the after the All-Star break. And I will say, too, what happened with the draft, it was mostly pitching. We picked up a pretty decent reliever here. I think, I've been struggling getting a true closer in either free agency or trading, so I'm going to see if I can maybe develop somebody. We picked up a starting pitcher here who I think his signing bonus was pretty high. Yeah, $5.5 million, but I really think this guy looks great. I mean, he's a potential 5-star from OSA. Was at Clemson. He's not quite ready for low A, even though he's coming from college. If I take a look at where he's rated there, yeah, he's not really ready for that. He's not going to be on the quick track, but if he develops to these ratings, he's going to have four pitches with 3 of them well above average, good control, stuff, movement, good stamina. So I'm hoping that he's going to be good for us. But the batting, even in the draft offense, it was definitely weighted towards pitching again this year. So let's take a look at a few series here and see if we show any signs of life. Playing against Cincinnati on the road to start, we lose 4-1. So far, not a good start. I mean, Westbrook's, he was hit pretty hard here. Didn't get through 4 innings. Game 2, we lose 2-3. Elledge injured, moderate effect. Miyazaki, a couple of hits here. He's had back-to-back multi-hit games. I do like what McKenna has been doing coming off the bench, but I got him mostly for his defense and speed. Didn't expect him to be an offensive contributor, but he's looked about as good as I could hope. Barrios looked good, but Elledge blew it there in relief. And then last game, hopefully we can salvage a win here. And Profar eligible to come off. I'm going to give him some time and rehab in the minors. Let me check the news here too while we're at it. Ben Edelman was another starting pitcher I went with in the draft. Again, my scout thinks he's 3-star potential. OSA thinks he's 4. So I'm hopefully going to develop a good bunch of pitchers in the minors, and if nothing else, have something that I can trade if I still struggle to get some offensive guys in free agency. So last game against Cincinnati, we lose 5-7. So we get some runs out there, and bullpen blew up. I mean, Abram, this is the toughest luck pitcher I think I've ever seen in this game. 6 dominating innings, 4 hits, 1 walk, 10 Ks, and we can't give the guy the win. It's crazy. So looking at the news, Guerrero Jr. up to a 31-game hit streak. Nate Beeson, one of the few offensive guys we picked up in early in the draft. A good-looking right fielder with some power, all the things that we've been trying to get here in the team. 2.5-star potential, but I think he might play better than that if he develops okay. In terms of his personality, those kind of personality ratings can be hit or miss, but he does have a good work ethic, so that should help him out. Players of the week, Ozuna. I say I'm not going to pick him up, and then he keeps performing well. Nomar Mazara, another guy who's showed up a few times here in trade offers when I sent him out. We are back down to 29th in the power rankings. I've also been spamming this waiver wire as well, and as expected, hardly anything shows up under the batter's side. Occasionally you'll get some good relievers that come up, but nothing that's really any better than what we have. So keep moving on from that. Now we're going to be playing Arizona. Arizona is struggling a little bit here, just under 500. Dodgers have been struggling too this season, 48 and 46, but early in the year they were well below 500 for a time. Let's take this week, or at least this first series against Arizona, and see what the trading block looks like. So game 1, a win, and this is the kind of wins that we usually get, 3-2. Ramos, another guy I was hoping and counting on to give us some offense. He has not developed at all. In the 4 seasons, he's been with us now, 4 seasons. I'm not really seeing much from him. I know at one point OSA thought he had a good upside, but now they don't. And he's not giving us what I was hoping he would give us. On the pitching side here, Schmidt, he has been up and down as well, but he hung in there and got the win. Game 2 against Arizona, a 4-0 shutout. I'd like to see that, I guess, when Abram's pitching. Miyazaki, Horner, multiple hits, and hey, Ramos, another home run in this one. Baum, if you notice, he's still struggling. And Santos, hard to figure this guy, 2.5-star pitcher, but he puts up the numbers. I mean, this is a road win for him, so I expect him to pitch a little bit better at home, but he's doing it on the road as well. So now game 3 against Arizona. Got a chance, hopefully, to win a series. We lose this one 4-7, though. Baum finally has a decent game, 2 hits. Westbrook's gave us 5 innings, struggled here, but he's gonna struggle here and there. Rodriguez, a guy I picked up from the Dodgers, he hasn't been as good as I had hoped. Even though his numbers look good, I don't know if it's because he wants to be in the starting rotation and his morale is impacting his play, but he's given us a few games like that here and there. You can see his ERA's up to 5.5. So game 4, this would be big if we could somehow win the series, and we can't. So we split on the road, lose 3-5. Ramos had a good series. He was 2 for 3 here. Horner, a couple hits. Barrios, a great game, but we blew it in the bullpen. So that's the kind of luck we're having. They've got a lot of news here. Looks like Guerrero Jr. is having a great year. Hitting streak, I don't know if it's still going, but it's up to 34 games there. Santander, another guy I saw who does have some power. He may have been somebody, to pick up to play the corner outfield as well. Mookie Betts having a good season. And then Acuna Jr. obviously having a good run. He may be favorite for MVP again this year. Not seeing any major trades. Albert Avila, a minor league player. So going back to that trading block, a lot of good pitchers there, especially on the closer side. But I really need some offense. Doesn't look like much has changed. Same players. Is Morita playing a little bit better? He looks like he's been playing a little bit better. Again, though, I don't see him contributing too much in San Francisco. I think I've been so. I guess I've just been so underwhelmed by what kind of play I'm getting out of these guys that I'm starting to doubt, who to even go for. I do see Miguel Andujar here showing up at third, but man, his defense is not that great. I thought he was a little bit better defender. There's Ursula, who he is a good overall player, definitely a good overall player at that money, $3.8 million. He's almost on pace for almost 6 wins above replacement. But when you're at this stage, do you really? I mean, what's we're almost 20 games below 500. What's picking up one guy going to really do? A guy that's only going to be here for the last half of the season. And that also, kind of points to, okay, do I get rid of salary? But look at our salaries. We don't even have any big-time players on this team right now. Simeon and Simmons and Profar are the only 3 players above $10 million. So it's not that I'm really not wanting to spend the money at this point. It's just they're not there. Free agency, nothing out here either. Brantley, really injury prone at this stage of his career. I mean, could I wrangle something maybe for Profar, who right now, I wouldn't man, he's still out. I don't think anybody will take, he's injured again. So I don't think anybody will offer him anything because I think I have the settings where you can't trade on IL, but maybe I'm wrong. Let's see if there's anything out here that I can pick up for him. Garrett Cole, I'm sure the Giants would like to get, or the Yankees would like to get rid of that contract. A couple 3-star relievers. I don't know who they would really replace though in that bullpen. Ryan Thompson. I'm not seeing too much in offense. Here's a really, I don't know, good looking utility player. I like the fact that he plays so many good positions. He's a good defender. In terms of who I would replace, at this point, Hernandez has been kind of a bust as well. He's struggling to the point where it's probably worth releasing him. So, this guy, Yang, might be able to take his place. He's not going to give you much. He's not going to give you power. Let me keep looking. Oh, that's it. Brendan Nemo, however you say that. A good defensive right fielder for the most part, but that contract's pretty heavy, and he is wrecked. His injury history, he's missed 8 weeks, 3 weeks this season. Last few seasons he's been out quite a bit, and I think his contract, man, that is really long. It's yet to even top out. Tommy Edman, he's a guy who's always interested me because I've had good luck with him in other playthroughs. He's starting to struggle here in this one. And, at $8.4 million, he's not worth that. But Jeff McNeil, also fragile. And, man, that contract is pretty high for him, $26.4. I think I'm going to try this guy Yang, and just see if he can get us some better performance than Hernandez. We'll save a little bit of money, and the fans are pretty upset. That's okay. Profar, I don't even know if he's really gonna get healthy enough to get another month in the way it's going. And then lineups, I hate to do it, but I feel like Hernandez, who I got to bat mainly against lefties, he's not doing it. I'm going to waive him for now, but he's probably going to get released. So Yang will fit in here. Let's see. He can play multiple. Second, third, and then shortstop and left and right. He can even play first. So I'm gonna load him up, play him as much as I can for now. It might be good to have him actually against righties over Slater, and I'm going to give him a chance to get some starts in. He can also play right field, but that's okay. And then against lefties, same deal. I'm going to put him mainly at the same positions, but I'm also let me check Slater again. I'll leave Slater in there against lefties. I'll put him maybe every 4th game. And then have him come off the bench. And DH, man, I've kind of let this one go, looks like. I'll worry about this later when we get up to playing an American League team. So for 3 games against Chicago, luckily they're at home. We lose the first one 4-1 in extra innings. Bohm, a couple hits. And Abram, 6 2/3 innings, just 1 run. It's crazy. And Lucchese, who's been so good, loses it for us in the bullpen. Anything else going on here? Guerrero Jr., 35 straight games. J.D. Foley, another offensive draft pick. I liked him because he could play multiple positions. Good speed, good defense. We'll see how he develops. Game 2 against Chicago, 5-4. Thankfully, Miyazaki 4 hits. He hasn't played too bad lately. And then pitching-wise, not a decision for Schmidt, but 6 pretty decent innings. And then game 3, we win the series. Finally, something positive. Blankenhorn, 3 hits, scored 3. Bailey getting his average up there. And then Santos, 8th win. Really been happy with the way he's played. Not so much from Fairbanks. I know his ratings are pretty decent. I mean, I think he should be a decent setup guy, but his ERA is starting to balloon up there. So now we're getting even closer to the trading deadline. Morita finally was traded away. He went to the Mets. And who did they give up for him? Some pitching prospects. One that's not too bad. Although he's got a long way to go. He's still in rookie ball. And Players of the Week, Shed Long Jr. Haven't seen his name in quite a while, if ever, in this playthrough. Mookie Betts having a decent year after really not performing too well the previous 2 years in the playthrough. And then we had Villegas, one of our prospects down in Single A, Player of the Week. And then power rankings, we're up to 25th. So let me take a look one more time. I don't think it's going to change much, but a couple things. The waiver wire, Daz Cameron. You know, he was their primary right fielder, looks like, or he was their starter in 2024. He may have been injured this year. Is that the case with him? Yeah, he's been injured quite a bit this year, but not too sold on him. I don't think he'll give us any value. Pitching, still the same. A few 3-star pitchers out there. But let's look at the trading block one more time. All batters. Rowdy Tellez, he's limited to first, I'm pretty sure. So Marcell Ozuna's still out there. Ursula, I mean, the same guys as was out there before. So I think, as boring as it may seem, I'm going to have to ride it out and just hope we get to the end of the year free agency and we can pick somebody to help us out. It's not looking good. At this point it may be time to look for another team. I don't really think we're going to be able to build this team for free agency. We've got prospects that are, 2 or 3 years at best from developing where they can help, and it is going to be mainly, Derek Mitchell is one guy I'm paying a little bit of attention to. He may develop into a starter at some point, but it's until you get down to the low minors before we see anybody who's going to, I think, contribute potentially for this team. I'm not really liking my chances on building a winner here. The further I get into this, my pitching would have to be so dominant that we just finish like top 3 in every pitching category, and maybe same in defense, and just hope that we just grind it out that way and maybe win enough to get into the wild card. But offense, I don't know how to turn this around. And I know some of you guys may have some suggestions, but it's just, I think I'm limited into what's at this point in what's available and what's going to help us. But I'm going to keep trying. Let me know. And if you think I should take on another team, let me know that too. I mean, like I say, this is probably a lesson in how not to win at this game. If that's something you think is worth watching, let me know. If you just like to see a train wreck. But otherwise, if you have that suggestion too, I'm open to that. A lot's happened with this game in terms of the version that I'm on since I started playing this playthrough. I know they've updated a few times, and I usually like to get those patches as soon as they've tested them and they say, hey, they're good to go, they're out of beta. So it might be good to start another one with a different team if you have any suggestions along that line. But as far as this Giants team, I'm about ready to cash it in. I got to be honest, it's not looking too pretty. But I do appreciate you guys watching, commenting, liking, supporting. Helps out my channel a little bit. I'm a small channel. I really like to grow it. I'm kind of in a little bit of an in-between right now, limited in time I can devote to it, and just kind of looking for that next game or two to start showing. Usually there's a few releases that come out in the fall in football and other sports. I might try to showcase some of those if I can find them. Been thinking about Access Football, but not 100% sure on that one if I would enjoy it. If any of you guys have experience with it, think that would merit a playthrough or at least the first type video, let me know. But until next time, I guess I will grind this one out, come back in September, see what, if any, improvements we've made, and go from there. So thanks for watching.